Good evening to everyone, those who are with us and those who follow this event live on their screens. It is extremely important and significant this evening for two reasons. First, because for the third time we could organize these competitions for the two awards. And second, because this year we have an audience with us and not with the limitations of last year. We are here so as to see the works of the finalists and announce the winners of the two photo awards. The Athens Photo World Award addressed to photo reporters working in Greece and Cyprus, and the Yannis Behrakis Award dedicated to his memory. That was established according to his vision that we have been discussing since 2018, and which we believe that along with the works that participate and are distinguished, and through the whole philosophy that we'll try to maintain in his memory, really assists photojournalism, as we like to call it, to help it progressing and do precisely what it's supposed to do, that is, inform people on what happens when it happens. It is the four of us here of the Athens Photo World team. We have along with us, starting from the left, as you see them, Thanasis Stavrakis, who is the artistic director. Next to him, Yannis and Niarchos Berakis, who are photojournalists. I'm Christina Kaligiani, that I coordinate this effort for the past 3 years. Thanasis Stavrakis will say a couple of words on this venture, Athens Photo World, which has led in this event, which for the third time we can award the two prizes. Good evening. Now, what is Athens Photo World? Let me explain. Being a photojournalist, I see that it is greatly supported. The rest of you that follow live streaming and do not know, we started in 2019. That was an idea that we wanted photojournalism to come to the streets, if you like, to have an exhibition on the streets. This went along with the support of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation and with the hosting of our exhibitions here in Stavros Niarchos. The stars are the photojournalists and their photos. It is an extremely strenuous and consuming, mental and mind-consuming profession, and we want to demonstrate what we have to go through so as for you to view the various pictures on your screens, on the newspapers and so forth. Last year it was different. We only had the awards because we couldn't have any live audience due to COVID-19. This year we have some people with us, and that's wonderful. Now we will be announcing what we will have and what will follow within the year. The two awards, as I told you, the first one regards photographers working in Greece and Cyprus. The other is dedicated to Yannis Behrakis' memory. Of course, amongst us, we all consider it that everybody knows who Yannis Behrakis was and what he has offered to photojournalists, both in Greece and abroad. But because this festival is always dedicated to his memory, we would like to reiterate he was one of the most important photojournalists, not only for Greece, but for the world around. He has worked for 30 years with the Reuters agency. He has covered many war scenes and impressive moments of the history, either in hotbeds and important events, but also in sports and entertainment. There are photos of Behrakis in the collection of the sports events that we've had until the 30th of May, and will be reiterated. He is the person who said that at least with my photos, no one can claim that they didn't know. And this is what we try to, how do we want to persevere, and we want to maintain through this competitions and exhibitions. On the occasion, we would like to remind the two winners, Fabio Cozzarelli and Dimitris Michalakis, the winners of last year, because they, at the same time, we have two shows presented in the Melina Mercouri cultural center. They're extremely interesting works, and it would be nice to visit. But most interestingly, these are two works that are on the same subject, COVID, but from two different viewpoints. This year, candidacies exceeded our aspirations, so we have extremely interesting work submitted to us. We will be watching the work of the three finalists of the Athens Photo World competition, who in alphabetical order Petros Giannakouris with his work, Angelos Georginis with his work Trapped in Greece, and Dimitris Michalakis with his work The Passage, Pastoral Diava, Nomadic Pastoralism in Mountainous Northern Greece. That was very challenging indeed to render it in English. Let me say a couple of things about Fabio before entering. No, I apologize. You're right. I apologize. Since we spoke of the two winners of last year, let us see the videos on their work. And we will also listening to statements by Fabio and Dimitri. I apologize, but this live show in front of so many people has really perplexed me. So we will be watching the two works of the two winners of last year, Fabio Cocciarelli, that is. Could we have? Yes. Fabio Bucciarelli, that was a winner of last year. Lefteris will speak about Fabio. Well, Fabio Bucciarelli is an Italian photographer. He's very well known for recording clashes and the impact of work and humanitarian crisis. He has covered broadly the big international events in the Middle East, in Africa and Europe, and Central and South America. His pictures have been published in many magazines and has been awarded on multiple occasions, amongst which has gone Robert Capa Golden Prize, Rod Crespopo Photograph of the Year, Kibaye for war reporters, and others. We see here, we can get a taste of his pictures when the coronavirus rampaged around Italy. During a mission for New York Times, Fabio had an exclusive access to the Red Cross staff who went door to door in Bergamo, the very heavily afflicted, the most heavily afflicted area of Italy, in order to follow what has happened and in order to transfer those who were in dire situation to the hospital. That was a desperately personal viewpoint on how coronavirus dismantled families. He entered ICUs and hospital corridors who were thriving with COVID-19 patients. In the more tragic situations, families allowed him to follow them in cremation rooms, in the very sad rituals that only the closest of kin could follow. Now, watching closely and working with all the protective gear, he traveled along with the Red Cross nurses and employees and entered the houses of the afflicted families and recorded the families, the lives that were destroyed by COVID. Fabio was here on May 21st for the exhibition, for the inauguration of his exhibition. Due to professional engagements, he could not attend, but we have some statements here vis-à-vis the award that he won last year.
So we have to show the suffering of the people, and the fighting of the people, and the resilience of the people. This is about photojournalism. so I think that the power of photojournalism, the power of images, is on one side try to make evidence about what is going on. And as Yannis Behrakis was saying, in the way that nobody can say, I didn't know what is going on. Thank you very much, and I'm very proud to have been awarded with Yannis Behrakis Prize and to keep his legacies about photojournalism. Thank you very much.
Now, we'll be seeing the work also of Dimitris Michalakis, who was also awarded last year, entitled 42 Days. Dimitris Michalakis is well known in the Athens Photo World Award because although he was a winner last year, he was also a finalist in 2019. His work, 42 Days, describes how our life changed during COVID-19, and these 42 days are precisely the time period of the first lockdown. This is a series of photos describing empty Athens and its desertification of the whole city. And I read some comments of the photographer himself, waiting some mornings for Sigrou or the National Highway to get emptied, either to cross or in order to construct for a photograph the new normalcy. It's something that would be inconceivable before COVID. ICUs became our point of reference, not only as a place for patients, but also as places for claiming all the necessary for public health. The exhibition of Michalakis and Bucciarelli, the shows are both hosted currently in Melina Mercouri Cultural Center until Friday, June 4. Dimitris Michalakis is with us. If he would be so kind to come forward and make a presentation of his experience of last year. Dimitris, you have the floor. Good afternoon. Now, with regard last year's award, it's of those times that I was extremely glad, but this pleasure lasted very, very shortly due to the situation last year and what is still pursued. Let me start by addressing a great thanks to the people of Athens Photo World for their attitude. Christina Kaligianni, Thanasis Stavrakis, Yannis Behrakis and Kolesidis, both for the prize and the show. A great thanks to my friend Dimitris Dasis for the system of the show and the assistance so as to complete this project. And a great thanks to my friend, the journalist Eleni Pagalia, for writing a text accompanying this project. Now, in relation to this work, 42 days, let me say a couple of words on the picture, on the photograph, how I view it and how this is related with this mini project. Starting almost 20 years ago, take pictures and coming to date, I realized that photograph for me, documentary photo, which is what I do, is an extension of my political thought. First, there's always a social recording through a personal perspective, a personal viewpoint. And going back to my origins, I don't remember whether I had read it or it was sold by a friend of mine, Pavlos Fisakis, that photo must raise questions and not give answers. This really echoed in me. So coming to this day, I always try to include personal elements in my photographs. I either shoot from my balcony, the buildings opposite my house, or if I am in Syria, or in Taksim Square, or shooting my friends in Metaxourgio and Elefsina. When I say that I take pictures through myself, has to do not with my ego, but myself is my friends, my relations, the people I daily converse with, my parents, my entourage. So all this that I've said beforehand constituted these 42 days. When I was shooting in an empty city, all those people in a way surrounded me. I felt an intimacy within brackets in the ICUs from the physicians, the doctors, the nurses and patients themselves. I took photos of people that I see them on a daily basis, that I cannot touch them from my room, and I reach a point to shoot in my father's house in Elefsini, my mother, who was totally closed down, protected against COVID, and that was the last picture I took. That's how I concluded the mini project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dimitris. I hope we won't have more ups and downs during the presentation because the moderator is a bit nervous. So let's move on with the next part. The Athens Photo World competition this year went quite well, better than last 2 years. We had a lot of participations, very interesting projects. The shortlisted projects, the 3 ones, are the ones of Petros Giannakouris, Moria, The End project, Angelos Georginis, entitled Trapped in Greece project, and Dimitris Tosidis, the project entitled Diava, Nomadic Pastoralism in Mountainous Northern Greece. Now, let's hear from Yannis Kolesidis on the work of Petros Giannakouris. Let's have the slideshow on. Yes, okay. Petros Giannakouris. He's a colleague, a photojournalist, working for the Associated Press. Part of the project, part of the work you see on the screen. Firstly, let me say that he has been awarded in a series of international competitions like the Deadline Cup Awards, the Athens Photo World Award and the Atlanta Seminar. He describes the end of Moria, the refugee camp of Moria. Let me quote from the photographer's comments on the project. Moria became the symbol of the impasse for European Union, the impasse of the European Union to handle the migration issue. The refugee camp ended the way it started with wildfires that started before dawn on the 9th of September, devastating the site and making 12,000 inhabitants homeless during a COVID-19 lockdown. The island of Lesbos was again faced with a humanitarian crisis on a scale not seen since 2015, and local families were afraid of losing control of the pandemic. So next project is by Angelos Georginis, entitled Trapped in Greece. Mr. Kolesidis will say a few words now. Angelos Georginis, Trapped in Greece. He started with this project 8 years ago, By means of these works, he tries to investigate human and social adaptability of migrants. We know very well the refugee issue, especially in 2015 onwards. Of course, it was like that before 2015. So Angelos decided to build a project using a different format. For those of you who see these peculiar photographs, panoramic shots, black and white shots, and of course the rectangular format. He's a freelancer photographer since 2007, awarded many times, an acclaimed photographer both in Greece and abroad. He's been working with the French news agency, the German one, the New York Times. He received in 2020 the award for the best Unicef photo of the year. He won the Sony Award. In 2015 he was the best wild photographer for the Time magazine. In Visa Polymath, the Visa pour l'Image, it's a French festival, the largest in the world. They awarded them already also, and this is the project you can see that won the third position in the best photo in the World Press Photo, and of course the Idrima Stavros, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation will be hosting this project. Angelos will be there as well. Last will be Mr. Pitarakis to discuss about the work of Mr. Dimitris Michalakis, Diava, Nomadic Pastoralism in Mountainous Northern Greece. Apologies, it gives me a hard time to pronounce it. Dimitris comes from Thessaloniki. He was born there, he lives there, and he works in Thessaloniki. The project is entitled Diava, Nomadic Pastoralism in Mountainous Northern Greece. High in the mountains of northern Greece, there is a centuries-old practice kept alive that comes from way back. It's called Diava. In Greek, it means moving on foot. It goes centuries. It's centuries old, and it is the annual. It is the practice of rural migration of shepherds and their flocks between summer and winter pastures, and from isolated highlands to warmer lowlands. Nomadic pastoralism used to be the main practice in our country until the 1960s or the 1970s, when new farming technologies emerged, and recently it became part of the UNESCO's intangible cultural heritage. Dimitris works for the Athens and Macedonian News Agency. He is working with the European Photo Press Agency. He emphasizes mainly on political and social issues, also on sports, and he has been awarded many times. Some of these awards, amongst other, Migration Media Works in 2017 and in 2018 as well, for his work on the refugee crisis in the wider Balkan area. Thank you very much, Lefteris. Before we move on with the announcement of the winner, I think we have to say big thanks to the jury. The jury, and they were really helpful. All members of the jury were very helpful in evaluating the participants. Natasha Markidou, she couldn't attend today. She's a professor at the University of Western Attica, University of Photography, and the remaining members of the jury, Mr. Giorgos Karachalios and Snella Patartzi. Thank you very much for your contribution. I think it was quite difficult to filter the work of so many colleagues, so your contribution, your participation in this project makes the final result even more memorable and noteworthy. Thanasis, would you like to come and let us know the final list of winners? So, let me change the microphone and position. We'd like to thank Galeos Photo Store for offering the third place winner, a Canon mirrorless M50 camera, and this is Petros Giannakouris. A couple of words from the winner. Nobody can escape that. I'd like to thank the festival organizers, the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. It's a great honor to be here. And I really hope that all this project, this initiative will continue. The Athens Photo World will continue because it allows us to endure our work. It's really important for ourselves and for Greek photography as a whole. Thank you very, very much. Most colleagues say that I'm embarrassed to speak on the mic, but I believe that now it's high time that photojournalists took the mic. We have a brand new sponsor for this year, Samsung. Samsung will offer the second place winner. Will offer the new mobile phone Samsung S21 Ultra Plus 5G. Its new device. This is Angelos Georginis. I'd like to thank the festival, the jury. Of course, it's a great honor for me. Congratulations to the finalists, and I wish you all to stay healthy and the best for the entire world. Thank you very much. And the winner of the top prize is Dimitris Michalakis. I'd like to have Dimitris Michalakis on stage to confer the award. Congratulations, everyone. You are worthy of that, Dimitris. Congratulations. I'm a bit embarrassed, as our colleague said. It's better having ourselves behind the camera, not before, in front of that. It's a great honor for me to be here, along with the finalists. Okay, it doesn't matter I'm the first or the second. All projects were amazing. All these works have been amazing. It's a great honor, firstly, that the story of those people and my photographs is being communicated by means of this event. I'm really moved. I take photos because I try to convey the experiences, my memories, my experiences. That's why I became a photographer. Kostas Balafas used to be my, let's say, my idol and my model, and of course Yannis Behrakis. And this work of mine that lasted 2 years is a project that I keep on working upon. Apart from the hard daily job, as Thanasis said before, on my spare time, I take photos of those people you see on the photos. I try to find authenticity within our society. I hope I'm able to do that properly, and this honor and this award is really honoring me and makes me continue. I'm really touched, I'm really moved. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Let's continue now. Let's have now the 3 finalists for the Yannis Behrakis Award in alphabetical order. Jérémy Lampin from France, I hope I pronounce it correctly. The runner-up, Jérémy Lampin with his work Dr. Peyo and Mr. Hansen. The second finalist comes from Spain, Emilio Morenati. His work is entitled COVID-19, Devastation and Death on Spain's Elderly. And the third runner-up is Reuters photographer Darin Zamit Lupi from Malta. The title of the photograph is the following: the first photo I ever took of my daughter, and the last. Let's watch these works. The presentation starts with Yannis Plesidis to present the work of Jérémy Lampin. Sorry, Lefteris. Lefteris will start first. Jérémy Lampin. a French photographer born in 1983. He started his career working in the French Navy. He worked in the audiovisual division of the Navy. He was aboard the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier. He worked with the during French army operations in Afghanistan, in Mali, and in Central African Republic. His work is about the horse Peugeot. And Hassan, some people realize that Peugeot is a very sensitive and very protective horse. After 4 years of research, doctors and experts, veterinaries, found out that Peugeot has this amazing cerebral activity, a unique one. The horse was able to identify tumors and dangerous cases of cancer in humans, and the horse itself decides to accompany them and be there with them until their very last moments. So he decided to work with a horse in a palliative way. So they travel, they travel together, and they meet patients, they support them in their fight. It's an amazing work. All members of the jury were astonished by this work. For most of us, it was something we have never seen in the past. Thank you very much, Lefteris. Emilios Bernati's work will be presented by Yannis Kolesidis.
Emilio
Morenati is a photojournalist and head of photographer for Associated Press for Spain and Portugal, based in Barcelona. Emilio Morenati has spent more than 30 years as photojournalist and documentaries photograph, covering world news in more than 50 countries. In previous years, he was based in Afghanistan, Jerusalem, Gaza, and Pakistan. His work is acclaimed and multiply awarded. He followed staff in the health sector for 15 days while they were paying visits to aged persons in Barcelona who remained completely deserted and locked down during the lockdown. He photographed them, but also discussed with them, answering questions they raised, such as what happened outside and whether they were doomed to die. He dedicated the remaining year of this pandemic, the rest of the year of 2020, trying to narrate the stories of the aged persons, the patients, and the homeless, having very rare access and free pass to seniors' homes and hospitals. He depicted the fear, the devastation that the pandemic caused to Spain and all the despair. He also recorded moments of hope, such as the reunion of an old couple in a senior's home who kiss each other and embrace through a protective shield after having spent more than 100 days separate. Also, another photo that we saw, a patient that is in convalescence from COVID-19, and he is transported on the seashore with an ambulance on a stretcher in order to get some sun and air, following 2 months on the road that he spent in the hospital. This work of Emilio Morenati is entitled Devastation and Death on Spain's Elderly. This is the picture I described to you beforehand. This is a very touching photo. Thank you, Yanni. And now let us hear a bit about Darin Zamit Lupi. Well, the personal project of Darin Zamit Lupi is entitled The First Photo I Ever Took of My Daughter and the Last. This is from the birth of his daughter Rebecca on August 3 of 2005. Another one a little bit later. His wife, Rebecca, or Beck, as it was her nickname, and they love to call them, unfortunately died of cancer on January 3 of 2021. And he says, I'm a photojournalist, so it was only natural to record every single moment of the beautiful life of Beck, as when she was 2 years old, and she seemed as being luminescent from the inside. Far more difficult was recording her disease and death from a very rare and extremely aggressive form of cancer, bone cancer. This is really an astounding and devastating project. We see photos of the young girl when she's hospitalized, when she goes through CT scans. Here we see Rebecca, a card with Rebecca Superhero that she received for her birthday, a birthday card from her friends. Here are physiotherapy exercises. Darin Zamit Lupi was born in Malta. He started in 1996 and until 2016 he worked in a local newspaper, Times of Malta. Excuse me. From 1997 he was member of the international agency news Reuters and has covered a lot of war zones and difficult situations worldwide. His work was aired in Times, Newsweek, Sunday Times. Here we see Rebecca watching Friends on her laptop. One more magnetic scan. Here are photos of her last moments. Here's Rebecca with her mother, short before her demise. Here is Darin Zamit Lupi himself, sleeping on the pillow by his daughter. He had arranged everything. He had made all the arrangements, and the photo was shot by his wife. Really touching photos. And the end. Before proceeding and announcing the winner, let us also thank here the persons who participated in the jury, who were members of the jury. Stephen Crisp, a photographer and an erstwhile photographer that he now is involved in his own project. Jérôme Delay, who is an associate press photographer, had photographer of Associated Press for Africa, and Elliot Rindrank, who is chief journalist, photojournalist in Yahoo. The president is always Elisavet Behraki, according to the expressed wish of Yannis Behrakis. We warmly thank her for her support from the beginning of Athens Photo World in all the things and all the process we've gone through, and we warmly thank her for the steady cooperation in the Yannis Behrakis Award. We would like Elisavet to say a couple of things about this year's competition and the winner. Good evening. I'm extremely glad that we find ourselves once again here, and not only through the internet as last year. Let me thank you wholeheartedly, all the members of the committee of APW, the people of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, of course, the members of our juries, I want to thank them for their persistence, their vision, their endurance. I'd like to say that on March 4, 2019, Claude Miel had referred to Yannis that he will be remembered as the best photojournalist of his generation. I hope that he will continue being an inspiration for young people. We've had many participation this year with astounding work, with wonderful pictures, with stories where many participations regarded the subject of health, of course, the pandemic and cancer. For a photojournalist, the camera, the lens become an extension of your body. It's an extension of your eye, of your hand. So whatever heart and mind dictate, you should. One records everything. This, of course, regards primarily photojournalists, but other people can identify with what you want to show, what you feel. Let me narrate a small story. Some years ago, when Yannis and myself were in a course of therapy, we had visited a micro lab for the exams, and all of a sudden I saw him crying. I asked him, "Why do you cry?" I looked around and I saw a young boy, adolescent, without hair, wearing his hood and gloves, two characteristics that one knows that this child is under chemo. And he told me, tears in his eyes, "I have lived 10 lives. This youngster, it's so unjust for him to go. Cancer, according to WHO, has taken a toll of 10 million people in 2020. The work of this year's winner is really a deposit of his soul. This was really a feast on the stomach. So this year's winner is Elisavet Saridou. We'll have a couple of, he will address the audience.
Hello and good evening. Being named as the recipient of this year's Yannis Behrakis International Photojournalism Award is an impossibly huge honor for me. I must admit, when I received the phone call giving me the news, I was shocked, and it took me more than a few moments to realize this wasn't a prank call. Of course, and I'm sure you will understand this, winning such a prestigious award for the story, the first photo I ever took of my daughter and the last, is deeply moving, but also extremely bittersweet. It was published by Reuters recently and documented the courageous battle fought by my 15-year-old daughter Rebecca, or Bex as I like to call her, against cancer during the pandemic, a battle she sadly lost 5 months ago. It's a story I wish I never needed to tell, a facet of the human condition that I wish my family and I never had to endure. The decision to share it was not an easy one. When I first started photographing what Bex was going through, there was still such a thing as hope. And when we published the first story about her last year, I really believed things were going to get better. Bex felt immensely empowered by that first story, and we quickly agreed that I should continue to photograph what she was going through. Every time I thought I would be documenting her long and slow road to recovery, never imagining for a moment that I would be wrapping up the story quite so soon and with such a tragic and heartbreaking ending. I can't not mention my wife Marisa, Beck's mum, who was on board the whole time and who moved heaven and earth to try to keep Bex feeling as safe and as comfortable as can be. So many friends and family were just, amazingly strong pillars of support throughout. There are too many to mention here by name, but they know who they are. I want to thank my editors and managers at Reuters for the unparalleled level of love and support they provided throughout this terrible experience, and also when we were finalising the story. Ricky Rogers, Ellie Biles, Gabrielle Fonseca Johnson, Helen Long, and a special mention for Carrie Howard, who did such an amazing job of editing the rambling text in my journal. I'd like to thank Athens Photo World and the Stavros Niarchos Foundation for organising and funding this award in Yannis's memory, and also the members of the jury, all people for whom I have such immense admiration for the work they have done within the industry. I want to thank them for recognising the importance of this very personal, focused, particular story, as opposed to perhaps one which shows the wider, bigger, epic picture of things. Yannis. Yannis was a photojournalist for whom I have great admiration and respect. I'm happy to say that I met him a few times and we shared some great conversations over coffees and drinks. I'm honoured to say that he was my colleague and my friend, one who was sorely missed. His way of photographing stories, his iconic images, his willingness to share advice, his passion, his drive, his dedication, his single-mindedness, his resilience are all deeply inspiring to me. As is the resilience shown by my beautiful Rebecca, to whom I want to dedicate this award almost 5 months to the day, almost 5 months to the day since she passed on to a better place. This story is a tribute to her, and I really feel the award is hers as much as it is for the work which I have done. I also want to dedicate it to the hospital staff who did everything possible, left no stone unturned to try to save her, and at the same time allowed me to document their heroic efforts. And lastly, I want to dedicate it to the hundreds of people who reached out to me after we published the story a few weeks ago. People who reached out because they felt they had similar experiences to share, and they were so grateful that we decided to publish this. And they felt that our doing so really helped them and gave them a voice. That's it, really. Now, I'm really looking forward to meeting you all at next year's festival in Athens. And once again, I want to thank you on Beck's behalf and my own from the bottom of my heart for this. Thank you so much. Good night.
Especially for this year, the jury did something that did not happen 2 years ago, that there was one more work, one more photo project that was worth discussing, regardless of the fact that it was not amongst the 3 finalists. It was a project of the Italian photographer Gabriele Galimberti, entitled Americans. We did not translate it because actually it's a new term coined, the combination of America and guns. Galimberti is a photographer that does such kind of project, that is 6 persons or teams that have a specific particularity vis-à-vis their lifestyles or preferences, and conducts big photo studies on them. Most projects he has done have become expos and books. The specific work was inspired by the fact that when he learned that Stephen Paddock, who killed more than 50 persons in a Las Vegas concert, had 47 rifles in his possession. Going through and conducting a research for these works for armed possession, he's find out that half of the weapons that are in the hands of privates are in the USA, more than the population of the country. 393 to 328 million people. The philosophy it is actually an extension of the Second Amendment that was ratified in 1791 so as to reassure the inhabitants of newly independent territories that their federal government could not one day abuse its authority over them. So 250 years later, the Second Amendment is still entrenched in all aspects of American life, and this project tries to frame it in its current status. Actually, many of the people that you see here on the photos consider that it would be a limitation of their personal freedom not to have arms in their possession. As you see, many of them are with their families. Most of them learned how to shoot and use guns at a very young age when they were infants with their parents. Now there is some kind of age limit in some families. For others, the sooner the better. The gentleman here that you see, it's the last photo of the project, buys one firearm every fortnight. With the completion of this project, that this jury thought that it was really worth an honorary mention, we would like to show a statement of Jean Delay, friend of Yannis Behrakis and member of the jury this year, which actually encapsulates all the projects that were distinguished.
It has been a real pleasure to join Yahoo's Kelly Grant and former Reuters Steve Crisp in judging this year's Yannis Behrakis International Photojournalism Awards. We carefully looked at over 700 stories from around the world, and I think I can speak for my colleagues. We were really impressed by the level of photography we had to choose from. We had to make tough choices. We tried to be objective and fair, not easy. But at the end of the day, we had no doubt for the work of Malta-born photographer and father, Darin Zamitlupi, brought tears to our eyes. It took incredible courage and strength to document the laughs, the struggles, the hopes, and yes, the passing of one's daughter over a 15-year period. And by doing so, raise the level of awareness of a killer that has taken away so many of our friends and family. cancer. This being said, we should not forget the outstanding work of AP's Emilio Morinati, whose haunting yet full of humanity images of COVID-19's ravages amongst the old, the homeless, and the sick in Spain still resonate in our minds, and Jeremy Lampin's award-winning piece on Peyo, the autistic horse that accompanies terminally ill people in a Calais hospital. Finally, we decided to give also an honorable mention to the project Ameriguns by Gabriele Galimberti of Italy, because it captures, like never before, the madness of the gun culture in America. Congratulations to all. And as Yannis would have said, now we cannot say we didn't know.
The Ducati parking only was a sign that was not placed there accidentally. It was a gift, I think, by Yannis the past. So thanks. I'd like to thank Jerome for this brief presentation of the works, of the stories presented by the finalists. Thomas, would you like to say a few words before we close about the festival and the next events we have in the pipeline? Yes, I will be brief. You can find everything at apw.gr, our website. A few things about the program. Currently, we have in Athens the Sports in the City Expo by Giorgos Mathiou and Vladimir Rys in Athens. It will be there until June 13th. The Municipality of Athens gave us an extra extension. In the Melina Mercouri Cultural Center, we will have Fabio Mucciarelli and Dimitris Michalakis Expo until Friday, June 4th. In the Municipality of Halandri, Dora Vazou, the curator is here and would like to thank her. We will have the expo there until June 20th. 6 photos of adolescents who experienced the fact that they had to send an SMS number 6 in order to move around and work out in their surrounding area during the lockdown. I have to say that the photos, the sports photos of the National Garden will be then donated to schools across Greece. What else do we have? We have digital projections at Technopolis in the municipality of Athens. 80% of them had to do with sports. This digital projection, along with what I will announce now, will be also offered during the Nostos Festival, organized by Stavros Niarchos Foundation. The artistic director, Mrs. Mili Pascal, is here. I'd like to thank them for allowing us to be part of this festival. The digital projection, I would like to thank about that Reuters, Associated Press, EPA, Eurokynisi, In Time News, photographers one by one, who have contributed in order to have this 75-minute project that was presented in Technopolis. In August, we will have Magnum's Paolo Pellegrini here for the first time in Athens. His exhibition entitled As I Was Dying at the 4th floor of the National Gallery from June 1st to June 31st. From August 13 until September 14, we're going to have the World Photo. Angelos Georginis will be there to talk to us about that. We hope that the limitations and the COVID-related measures will be mitigated by then, so we may learn more about that and talk with him. And we're going to have the digital projection at the end of the canal after the sun goes down until midnight. What else? Of course, acknowledgements and thanks are a bit mundane and typical, but for us they mean the world. Once again, we'd like to thank the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, the amazing people of the Cultural Center here, our new sponsors for this year, the Italian Embassy's Centro di Cultura, Ion, Reinsurances, they are sponsors, Samsung, They made a really dynamic entrance, let's say. We liked that a lot, and they liked the festival a lot. Athens Plaza, the Hotel Athens Plaza, for accommodating our guests. Elisavet Photo Store, once again, we'd like to thank Makis for supporting this festival in the most dynamic way. And of course, the Ministry of Culture, thanks to the new funding programs over the past 2 years. Moreover, our supporters, Municipality of Athens, we couldn't have had this. We couldn't have this project without the Municipality of Athens, Lapanda, National Garden, Technopolis, the Athens Music Concert Hall. In the Athens Concert Hall, we have an amazing exhibition on until August 31st, entitled Greece, Elada. With many contributions. All these expos are open on a 24/7 basis. You can visit them whenever you like, actually. Once again, I'd like to thank the University of Western Attica and the Department of Audiovisual Arts and Photography. Mrs. Markidou, Professor Markidou was a member of the jury, and the Athens University of Cappadocia University, once again. Late this year we'll have another event with them, and of course the Municipality of Halandri for hosting the expo. Let me close with that. I promise that's my ending note. In December, my apologies, October, November and December, we're going to have 3 exhibitions. The ones that used to have packed venues with photojournalists listening to the speakers, and we hope that we will be able to host something like that. And January 2022 until June 2022, at the arrivals floor of the Athens International Airport, we're going to have the digital projection of the highlights of our festival, plus a new expo curated there. Thank you very much for your participation today. Thank you very much for also watching the live streaming. God bless. Stay safe. And Christina for the closing. So, closing, as the artistic director said, I'd like to thank the Viewmaster technical crew for helping us setting up this event. As I said at the beginning, this year's event was quite more demanding, given that we have a real audience. Thank you. We'd like to thank the photographers from across the globe taking part in our competition by means of their work. It's really important to have their contribution, because this is the only way using this competition as a driving force, as a vehicle to emphasize as much as we can on photojournalism, and at the same time to keep up this work dynamically and to take the vision of Yannis Behrakis to the future. When back in 2019 we thought of having the Athens Photo World, there was a question in our minds: why another festival? There are so many festivals of photography around the country with their own vision, their own perspective, trying to promote the creators, the industry, etc., and give a better outlook towards society. And the people organizing those festivals are our friends, our colleagues, our partners in the wider sense. Some of them have been our mentors, irreplaceable mentors of ours. What we added in this, let's say, the scope was to emphasize on the world of photojournalists, the work of those people out there in the streets, in places in which, as Yannis Behrakis used to say, they live in places where we're not going to be. Last year was a very shocking proof of the role played by photojournalists. While we were indoors, they were out there taking photos of that brand new reality in the making. A photojournalist is not a cinematic, abstract concept. No, they're human beings like us, moving around us, tens of people around our country, thousands of people across the world doing this job, and we hope that by means of this initiative of ours, we're one step closer. We try to help people emphasize on their work and project out there in Greece, and abroad, the work of photojournalists. In those past 3 years, we're quite lucky because we have had the support and the partnership of impressive and important people, because we have people behind the logos of sponsors. Those people work with us, next to us, trying to help us in order to turn our vision into reality and bring closer to you the things we do. I'd like to thank them wholeheartedly. Thank you, and I hope that for a long time to come we will be able to do the same thing again and again. Thank you.